Alright, 6th graders, today we're going to be looking at adding integers. By the end of this lesson, you want to be able to add integers accurately and also explain your reasoning. First, we're just going to take a look at integers with the same sign. So for example, here we have 3 and a positive 2. So we have 3 positives because there's no sign in front of the 3, and I'm adding 2 more positives. So now we have a total of positive 5, or just 5. And the next one, we have a negative 4 and a negative 5. So I start with 4 negatives, I add 5 more, and now we have a total of 9 negatives. Why don't you go ahead and try the next one on your own. So if we have 7 negatives, and we're adding 4 more, we now have a total of 11 negatives. So if you look at the patterns and stuff here, when we're adding numbers with the same sign, so a positive, positive, or negative and negative, then you're just going to add the numbers normally and keep the sign. So for example, a positive plus a positive is always positive, a negative plus a negative is negative, as in these examples. And these help show our examples. We could also do it with a number line. Okay, so here's 0, here's 3. So we start at 0, we go 1, 2, 3, because we're adding 3 to 0, and then we're adding 2 more from there, and we get to 5. Same thing on the next one. Okay, here's 0. Here's negative 4. It's negative 9. So a negative 4, really we're taking 0 and we're going back 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going back 5 more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what happens when we add integers with different signs? So here we're looking at a negative 8 and a positive 6. Okay, so I'm going to start with 8 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I'm going to add 6 positives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you remember from our other lesson talking about zero pairs, anytime a positive and a negative get together, they make a zero pair. So I'm going to go ahead and circle those, and those are equal to 0. Once I do all of that, we see that we have 2 negatives left over. So when you try the next two, go ahead and pause the video and try those on your own. In our first one, we have 3 positives, and I'm going to add 6 negatives. I'm going to go ahead and circle my 0 pairs, and we once again have negatives left over, and it's 3 negatives. Alright, and the next one we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 negatives. I'm going to circle my 0 pairs. In this case, there's nothing left over, so our answer is 0. So what relationship or pattern do you see? Well, if we start looking at this, if we're looking at the values, 8 and 6 have a difference of 2. 3 and 6 have a difference of 3. 4 and 4 have a difference of 0. Here, 8 is a negative, and we ended up with a negative 2. Here, 6 was a negative, and we ended up with a negative 3. So really, when you're adding numbers with different signs, we're going to find the difference between the two numbers and then take the sign of the bigger in quotation number, meaning the number that if you didn't pay attention to the signs, that number is bigger. Let's look at some real life examples of when we would use this. Alright, so a football team gained 3 yards on their first play, but then lost 5 yards on the second play. Where are they in relation to their original line of scrimmage? So if they gained 3 yards, that would be equivalent to a positive 3. and then they lost 5 yards. So that would be equivalent to a -5. So we have +3 plus -5. So we could do this symbolically with our pluses and minuses. So I have 3 positives, and I add 5 negatives, and make my 0 pairs. I'm left with -2. So they're 2 yards behind their original line of scrimmage. Otherwise, if we did this just with the algorithm, we would just say the difference between 5 and 3 is 2. 5 is our bigger number. 5 is negative, so then this would be -2. So why don't you go ahead and pause the video and try these next two on your own and just see how you do. I borrowed $15 from my brother. The next day I was paid $20 for tutoring. How much money do I have if I pay back my brother? So if you borrow 15, you're short $15. The next day you're paid 20, so you make and you have a +20. How much money do you have left? If we just jump into this algorithmically, they have different signs, so we're going to find their difference. The difference between 20 and 15 is 5. 20 is our bigger number. It's a +20, so our answer would be +5. Last problem, the temperature was -8 degrees yesterday, and it dropped another 6 degrees overnight, so plus another -6. What was the temperature this morning? Once again, if we look at this, they have the same sign, so we're just going to go ahead and add them. 8 plus 6 is 14. They're both negative, so it'll be -14 degrees this morning. Now, I want you to go ahead and post a question to Edmodo. If you have one, you can just send it to me. But I also want you to include -14 in your question, or in your post. So just make sure you send me that as part of your message.